Welcome to Complex Kids Simple Solutions, the podcast for parents raising complex and neurodivergent kids who are doing their best in systems that don't always make things easy. I'm Michelle Shoaidi, founder of Special Education Concierge, a mom to a complex kid, a speaker, and an advocate. This space isn't about perfection. It's about real life, the hard days, the small wins, the moments where you wonder if you're doing enough, and the moments where you realize you are. Here we talk honestly, share practical insight, and simplify what feels overwhelming. One conversation at a time. You are your child's hero. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Complex Kids Simple Solutions. Today, I am excited because we have Dr. Carla Caturia, and I was just telling her how I love her name because it's my sister's name. So welcome, Dr. Carla. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, your sister's got an amazing name. Just,
Of
wanted to let you know.
course. Of course she does. Of
Yeah.
course she does.
Yeah,
Well,
happy to be here.
welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So talk to us. What have you been up to? And there's a reason why I have you on the show. So we're going to get to that. But tell us what
Yeah.
you do, where you come from, what's going on.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Connecticut. So I did about a decade of being an educator in Connecticut, middle school and high school, principal and teacher, and then came to Florida and did another decade as a principal. And yeah, I'm currently out of education, working on my business where I support families of teenagers that are high achieving, parents that are, great families, but, maybe disconnected, and just work on building their confidence. They're helping them live in a powerful state at their peak performance and helping families just strengthen their connection. So kind of shifted from the more academia role to a more supportive coaching role recently. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, we like a good coach, right? I've had to, I think that it's not even a coach. It's somebody who can help us kind of pull it together. And maybe that is the name that we came up with is a coach, instructor, teacher, whatever it is. But whatever you can pull, you have all these things in your head, but you need to pull it together. Having somebody that can help you move along, I think it's very important. So thank you for what you do.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So that's a long time in education, though, to
Mhm.
then leave. So talk to us how that was, like what brought that on for you
Yeah.
and how
I
that
think
changed.
I think like any life change, it's really scary for a while and then it just becomes like necessary and this is what I have to do. So I think you go through that shift of you go from fear to then either something pushes you, whether pleasure or pain, you're running away from something, you're moving towards something, right? And I think it
Mm-hmm.
was just an overarching theme of I want to support families and teens and I want to help them dig down to the root causes of why they were experiencing such anxiety, pressure, overwhelm, lack of confidence, self-esteem, those kind of things. And getting down to the root of the problem really just wasn't possible in the position that I was in.
Mm.
So that's when I decided, like you said, to become a coach. And I had a lot of resistance around that because everybody's a coach. Everybody posts everything on social media and they're a coach. So I was like, ugh, I don't want to be lumped in that group of people that just decide one day they're going to become a coach. But I
Mm-hmm.
have, but I was like, okay, you have 20 years experience, you have a doctorate, you have all this, you are legitimate. You have to kind of tell yourself, because
Yeah.
it's a big jump and you have it's like, it's a big jump leaving something that you know and are comfortable with. So yeah, it took me a minute and,
Yeah.
but then, yeah, best thing I ever did. Yeah.
And how's that going? How's the coaching going?
Best thing I ever did. I've been doing it for a few years now. It's goes great. I have fantastic clients. We do really see kids transform. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing is, supporting them through whatever they might be going through. And some of them aren't even going through anything. It's just they want to get to the next level. And
Mm-hmm.
how do we support them to help them get there? So it's been
Yeah.
fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah, when I think of complex kids, right? And mine is, he has a genetic disorder. And some of us, we really think of the kids who are in special education, or we're looking at the kids who are, you know, they are they have some kind of, you know, disability. But we don't think of the teenagers and the kids who just have anxiety or they just have ADHD and how they are actually like functionally. They can't even function most of the time because they don't even
Mm,
know where to go. And
mm.
maybe this is what a little bit of what you're talking about is that anxiety. It's the where do I go from here? What do I do? And really kind of bringing them together and giving them a direction sometimes is a little bit of what they need, right?
Yeah, and
So
regardless of, what like you're saying, you have the genetic disorder or special education or a high achieving straight A student, I feel as if we all have emotions and we all need to learn how to manage them. And by manage them, I don't mean push them down. I don't mean stop them. But it's really getting to know your emotions means getting to know yourself. When I feel this is what I'm thinking. And if I want to feel differently, I need to think this. So
mhm,
you're shifting your beliefs, you're shifting how, it's responding rather than reacting, it's being proactive. So I think emotional intelligence, like the big umbrella of that work goes a long way with
mhm,
any population that you might be,
mhm.
discussing. Mhm.
Sure. I
Yeah.
think that a lot for the parents too. My gosh, for the parents, when you're dealing with all of that, it's tough to be a
Yeah.
parent. Yeah.
And it's like where do you end and they start?
Yeah.
And how and because parents oftentimes it's like you don't you unconsciously are like taking responsibility for their feelings and their emotions and you want to fix it.
Mhm.
And it's not your responsibility. Their emotions are their responsibility.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so talk to us, how do you do that? How do you bring this together? How do you help them?
So, what I usually use is the RISE model. So, my business is called the House of RISE, and it stands for resiliency, identity, self confidence, and emotional management. So, first, as we spoke about, you're managing your emotions. You're getting to a place where you can function. Not all the kids I work with can't function, but it might be in certain situations that you're having a panic attack or you can't handle it. And then from there, as you start to believe in yourself, you build that confidence that you do hard things, you become resilient. And that's through experiences and through coaching and through then they start to build that new identity. So it's about parents as well as myself seeing them. Okay, we see their potential, we see their next level, we see what we want them to be, and it's supporting them through believing that, through them building resiliency and self confidence.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
resilience is a word that I don't think that I realized that I don't think that I knew that word
Hmm.
until I became a mom to my son, right? Because every day all you want to do is you want to give up and you want to just be like, I'm done. I can't
Hmm.
take this anymore. But you just keep doing it. You keep doing it,
Hmm.
you're resilient, you go and you figure it out, right? And I
Hmm.
think that a lot of parents, hopefully, they get to this point where they can look at themselves and instead of question or say, I can't do this anymore, you look back and you go, you know what? I have been resilient. I have survived all of this and I'm figuring it out. I don't have the future. I don't have everything in my hands, but I'm figuring this out. And when you do have a complex kid, a kid who doesn't believe in themselves, and I think maybe that's what it is. It's like you become resilient once you realize that you can do it, that you don't doubt yourself anymore. I've fallen in love with that word, so I really like that word resilience.
Yeah, and I think your kids have to borrow that belief from you to begin with. Like a lot of my
Mhm.
kids that I'm coaching, they borrow the belief. So I believe in them. I think you're the greatest musician or tennis player I've ever seen right off the bat.
Mhm.
I'm talking to you on I believe it. Yeah, how to, the key is getting them to believe it themselves, and how they can believe that themselves is through evidence. So we're all about like evidence, seeing it, we have to have evidence. And that evidence might be something that you did, like you're saying, like, I did this hard thing years ago, I can do it again. And you just have to believe,
Mhm.
and you have to like recognize it in yourself, like
Mhm.
almost like celebrate it. Like
Yeah.
you being a mom, like, look what I did on such and such a date. Oh my gosh, like that was really hard and I figured it out and I did it. So this thing that
Mhm.
I'm looking at today, I can do that just the same. I don't know if I'm going to use the same strategies or the same skills, but I can do it.
Yeah, it's I call it celebrating the small wins. Like, it doesn't matter how small they are, but you have to believe that you're doing something. You gotta believe, and you have to celebrate when you do something. And, it's celebrating the small wins lead to that. I 100% I see that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's like your habits become your routine becomes your life. So if you're
Mhm.
celebrating what you think is a small win to you might be a big win to me and vice versa. But no matter how small it is, do we overlooking it doesn't do us any good. Negative
Mhm.
self-talk doesn't do us any good, but looking at it
Never.
positively does. It does a lot of good for
Yes.
us, right? So, and I think especially with complex kids, I mean, your expectations of them are going to be different. They're gonna have a
Mhm.
difference, and with that being said, it's not just about praise. I was just speaking to someone else about this, but it's praising the effort, not necessarily the outcome.
Mhm.
So and that's hard because you're still not getting what you want from them. But,
Yes.
but with that being said, are they doing the best they can with to try?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes, like I said, it's gonna be small things, just like you said. It's just the effort of even really trying to do something. It just brought to mind one time we in my house, we tried going hiking one time, and we never even made it to the parking lot. And we tried that many times. And then we would get to the parking lot, and then within 5 minutes, we're like, no, we're done. We're leaving. This is how it is. And then one day came, and I was walking. We were up in the mountains, and I look back and I go, holy shit, we're hiking. And we look back. I look back, and there is all of us, including the dog. And we were all hiking, and so, like, that was a big deal. But
Mhm.
even those little trials, we have to look at it and go, "Okay, well, we made it to the parking lot, alright? Today,
100%.
we got out of the car, okay." And then
Mhm.
one day, you're gonna look at it and you're gonna go, "Oh, we're hiking," right? So, yes.
100%. 100%. And what you just also made me think of too was the consistency as well.
Yeah.
It's and the discipline.
Yes.
So, yeah, unfortunately, 100 times we just got to the parking lot, but that 101th time, it was worth it because we were on that hike.
Mhm.
And sometimes, it's I was I was rock climbing with, one of my neurodivergent kids, and he kept going on this same route in the gym, and he would go up to this certain, like, couple minutes up, and he would stop, and he would drop every single time. And who's to say that wasn't just good for like, maybe he was just happy doing that. Like,
Mhm.
sometimes we have that expectation that they have to get to the top, and they have to reach this accomplishment, yet maybe he's just happy doing what he's doing right there,
Yeah.
that can be enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm.
You go on and you talk about identity. Talk to us a little bit about that identity.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically who you wanna become. I think
Mhm.
it starts with a thought of, "Okay, if I'm a kid, I wanna, let's say, I don't know, play a certain instrument," and before you pick up I work with a girl that she has the flute, and she plays the flute, and in order to see yourself playing it, learning the song, doing all the things, the first step is seeing like, obviously you need to practice and have the instrument, but prior to that, you have to
Mhm.
believe, you have to see yourself as a person that plays the flute, like, I am a musician. And
Yeah.
that's where it starts, and then you have to work backwards and do all the things. So I think a lot of times with identity, we think, and then we say, "Oh, we're gonna manifest things," and we think about it and it comes to fruition. But we have to think about it and think of ourselves in that identity, as well as take the inspired actions that get us to that identity as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
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 My daughter, she looks at me and she goes, "Silk is my life," because she does aerial silks, and she's 9. And she looks at me and she goes, Ariel, silks is my life. This is what I love doing." And so she just pictures herself. And you know what? that girl can climb. She can do anything on those silks on aerial. And I'm like, what is she going to be when she grows up? And I'm like, probably work at a circus or I don't know, but this is her life right now. So,
Mhm.
this is what she identifies with. And
Yep.
so, of course, we're here and we're, helping her do that. With my
Yeah.
son, it's a little bit different. And sometimes it's us kind of, like, he loves swimming, and so we make sure that he goes swimming almost every day of the week, and we're like, "Okay, let's go swimming. You're a swimmer. You're a really strong swimmer." And he is. He can
Mhm.
go down, like, 20 feet down in the under the water, and he loves it. And so those are things, and I think that that's what you're meaning, like, they figured it out that this is what I do, and I do this well, so this is what I am.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that self-belief early, like I work with a dancer that's 8 years old and it sounds like your daughter. It's just like that's her life. And that's really good. And through it's kind of like, yes, we want to build their confidence within that area. But the
Mhm.
point also is using that silks or swimming or whatever it might be as an avenue to teach them the skills of resiliency or confidence.
Mhm.
Or so she may not be in the circus, she may, yet
Who
yeah,
knows?
you know
We're
what I
never gonna
mean? She may be a lawyer someday, but the point is it
exactly.
but this will help her, you can use the skills that she learns. It's just like when I started playing team sports. Like when you're on a team, you learn a whole different skill than when you were on an individual.
Mhm.
They're both good, but again, it's how can we learn these skills as a child and then bring them into our adulthood, regardless of what
Yes.
what the avenue is. Yeah.
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 One of the
For
biggest
sure.
things that we talk about, and this is not just with my son, but with my daughter, is, you made a commitment to be there. And so we're going to follow through with the commitments that we make. We're not just going to sign up for a team and then not be there for them. This
Mhm.
is not how we work. And so I think that that is kind of what you're saying, a little bit of, okay, we have to learn how to do these things because this is how it's going to be in life. So,
And I think that speaks to the values of your family too.
yes, for
Be
sure. Yeah.
because that's where it's at. If she were being treated poorly and there was a problem, you wouldn't continue to send her somewhere that she was, but if it's just her, nah, I don't want to go, I'm being tired, I'm being lazy, then that's a different story. But point
Mhm.
is it's all based on your family values. Like, you
Yes.
want them involved, you want them active. What does it
Mhm.
mean to your family to be a part of something? Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
So the next one is self-confidence. Talk to us for on the
Mm.
rise. It's the S.
Yeah. That self-confidence and that self-esteem really comes from autonomy and choice,
Mhm.
especially with teenagers. I'm sure, your little one, I don't know how old is your son? I don't know if you mentioned
My
how
son is 12 and my
he's
daughter's
12,
9.
daughter's
Yeah.
9, yeah. So, it's we have these family values, we have these rules, we have these, this is how we live our life. Yet within that, how can they build confidence? Well, doing everything for them isn't gonna help. Fixing everything isn't gonna help. In certain situations you must. Yet ultimately
Mhm.
it's how can I offer them choice from a parent's point of view or
Mhm.
and autonomy so they do it themselves within the values of our family, and that builds their confidence if we're speaking
Mhm.
about parents. So I think them trying things, them, like we said earlier, doing hard things, accomplishing outcomes as well as seeing progress, because I think a lot of times people focus on the outcome. It's the long term, it's the
Mhm.
grade that they got, but what about the progress along the way? So if your son
Yeah.
has this goal that he wants to swim a certain amount of speed or a certain amount of laps or whatever it is, if he doesn't reach that goal, the point is did he put the effort in every single day, and did you see the progress? And now he's swimming faster than he was
Mhm.
before. And that builds
Mhm.
his confidence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Self-confidence, I think it just kind of aligns. And then the last one is the emotional intelligence. I like that. I
Mm.
want to hear about
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Because this one
Yeah.
is the hard one to develop, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, at least, especially when you're young, emotional intelligence, sometimes I don't even think that adults have that. I don't know. Sometimes you find that adult that has no idea what that means. So I think that's a little bit of a harder thing to come about.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times as children, you go to school typically and you're taught, math and science and everything. Yet emotional regulation and emotional intelligence and relationships is a part to an extent. But ultimately, like if your parents didn't learn it from their parents, how are you going to learn it? So we're parented how we were parented. So I think having the ability to feel our emotions, having positive outlets for our emotions, and actually being able to recognize our patterns within our emotions helps us to understand ourselves. And once we understand ourselves and our patterns, then we become powerful. So it doesn't mean you're never going to
Mhm.
be sad again. It doesn't mean you're never going to have anxiety ever again. It just means when it comes up, you know how to handle it and you can kind
Mhm.
of I usually give the tip of like, look at it with curiosity. That's the first thing you want to do. Like right away, we assume like our emotions just like they control us, and I'm feeling sad, so this is just the way it is. Feel that sadness, yet look at it with curiosity and kind of question yourself and see, well, where is this really coming from? And from there, then you can kind of still feel the emotion, but it doesn't have the control over you. So I think
Mhm.
emotional intelligence has to do with relationships, but it really is starting with the relationship with yourself for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 It's easy to just let those emotions just kind of take over and become this all-out war or whatever you wanna call it within yourself. I have that anxiety a lot. Like, if I can't I'm a fixer. So if I go
Mhm.
and cannot fix something, if I cannot go in there and get it done and fix it, like, it's inside of me, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't fix it, I can't fix it, I can't fix it." And
Mm.
it's taken me a long time to be able to go, "You know what? That is not fixable. I just can't do it. Like, this is I have to take this, either look at it in a different way, or I'm gonna have to move on from that." And so because you have to look at it in a different way, I feel like, or walk away. Those are the 2 options I think that somebody has when you have those types of emotions, but walking away, I don't think that that's necessarily the answer to anything, but learning and like what you were saying, looking at it with curiosity, kind of trying to feel what is it? What's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think to your point, like the brain likes to close the open loop. So there's a
Mhm.
problem and it's like your brain is just like, we got to fix this. And then I think
Mhm.
it's like you said, the perspective, it's the story you're telling yourself. Like, is this really mine is this even my problem? Am I taking on something else
Yes.
someone else should be problem solving?
Mhm.
And if it is mine and I own it, then, what is under my control that I can do something about? And I do
Mhm.
that. And then it's, yeah, I gotta detach.
Yeah.
If you get into that unhealthy cycle, sometimes you have to detach. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's normal. You're not alone. You're not alone.
Yeah.
It's the story you tell yourself is
Yep. Yep. For sure, for sure. And we have to teach that to our kids, right? We have to teach it to
Mhm.
them. But if
Absolutely.
we don't know how
Absolutely.
to do it, we better hurry up and learn because we gotta teach them. They need to be able to understand that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
No, I was
finish
gonna
your
say
thought.
I was gonna say, because like you said, we have to teach them that, and the only way to kind of approach them in such a way that they can learn that is to regulate ourselves first. So
Mhm.
approaching it in the most grounded way we can to then and model that for our kids and be vulnerable and tell them when we aren't able to handle it and how we
Mhm.
then fixed it and overcame it and made it work for ourselves, and they learn from your modeling and your vulnerability with that as well. So
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. For sure. Okay. Well, we're getting towards the end of the episode here, and I always ask this question. So, think of the listeners right now. They're usually, the majority of them are moms with the complex kiddos. And I want to know if there's one thing that you would like for them to leave today with, something that you really truly believe that they should know. What is that one thing?
Yeah, I think the one thing is that they're doing the best they can with the skills and with what they know right now, that at any point, if they wanna try something new, try it. you can shift who you are at any point. If you learn one different way to say something or one different way to act or deep breathing, whatever it is, even if you've done something for 10 years the same way, at any point you can shift it and you can use a new skill or step into a new identity. So to just have patience with yourself, and I applaud you for trying new things.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. All right. Well, tell everyone where they can find you
Mhm.
and social media or wherever.
Yeah, on social media, it's just under my name, Dr. Carla Caturia, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. You can find me there. I have a bunch of, videos and things you could take a look at and see if there's any tips you can get from what I present. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we will also have all on the notes too. So when the episode airs, it will be all on there for you guys to look at. Well, Dr. Carla, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I think that it actually gave me something to think about for this afternoon on what it is that I'm doing and how I'm teaching emotional intelligence to my kids. So I appreciate you coming on. And for everybody else, we will see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye bye, everyone. Before you go, take a deep breath. You don't have to solve everything today. You don't have to have it all figured out. If this episode helped you feel seen, grounded, or a little less alone, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future conversations. And if you ever want a deeper support, Special Education Concierge is here when you're ready. One step at a time, one decision at a time. You are your child's hero. I'll see you next time.